Hello and welcome to Congressman Henry Cuellar's Capitol Report. Your voice from Washington for the 28th District of Texas.
Every day, taxpayers interact with the federal government on a regular basis, whether it's through the passport services, student loans through the direct loan program to pay for higher education.
Every month, we bring home to you the issues that matter the most. And now, here's your update from the nation's capital.
Hello, and thank you for joining us at Congressman Henry Cuellar's Capitol Report. In this episode, we will be discussing important issues relating to veterans and the services available for them and their families. With us today is Congressman Henry Cuellar, who has represented the people of the 28th Congressional District of Texas for the past 12 years. He is currently serving his second term on the House Committee on Appropriations and is a member of both the Subcommittee on Homeland Security and the Subcommittee on Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development and related agencies. Before entering the U.S. House of Representatives, Cuellar served as a Texas State Representative and as the Texas Secretary of State. He has worked to ensure that our veterans receive the services and benefits they've earned. Congressman, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you for joining us today. Congressman, thank you for being here and discussing the important veteran issues.
Well, again, it's always a pleasure talking about veterans, and we got a very special guest that you'll introduce in a few minutes. Doctor, I just wanted to say thank you. I got thousands of veterans all the way from U.S. Military City, San Antonio, Military City, USA, from San Antonio all the way down to the Laredo area, in between the rural areas, and of course all the way down to Mission McAllen. So we have thousands, I believe about 34,000 veterans that live in my congressional district. And again, we're excited, especially with the expert that we got here today.
Thank you. Also with us today is Dr. Carolyn Clancy, Deputy Undersecretary for Health and Organizational Excellence at the Veterans Health Administration, which is part of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Additionally, she serves in direct consultative capacity to the United States Undersecretary for Health, serving as the national subject matter expert in her directorate. In her current position, she works closely with VA leaders, as well as veteran service organizations, Congress, and their constituents to address the immediate and long-term needs of our nation's veterans. Dr. Clancy, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So today, we're going to talk about veterans and the services and all the opportunities that you're able to do and assistance you're able to do through Congress. Congressman, we'll begin with you. Why are veteran issues important to you?
Well, very simple. I think veterans have provided service to the country in so many ways. Men and women that have sacrificed, and we go through the years on different days that we celebrate and thank the veterans on those special days. But I think veterans should be thanked on a daily basis, and especially when it comes to the services. And one of the things that we have worked on, as you recall, all of South Texas used to be part of the San Antonio district itself. Some years ago, we were successful and created a new district down in South Texas, from the Corpus Christi, Bronzeville area to the McAllen Valley, to the Laredo area and everything across there. So now we have our own district, and it used to be that veterans used to travel all the way from the valley, and sometimes 5 or 6 hours, to go to San Antonio, to the hospital there. And it was very difficult, especially if you're an elderly veteran. And if you're sick and elderly and you have to travel 4, 5, 6 hours, it was very hard. So now we provide services at home, which is a win-win situation in many ways, because one, veterans get to stay there and get the service at home with their own providers. And number two, it's actually good for the local economy, because now you have this money that's being generated locally. So it becomes a win-win for the veterans. So we're excited about this new district. We got a lot of good people that work for the VA. And as part of the members of the appropriations, I work with Charlie Dent, which is the chairman of the Milcom VA. Charlie Dent has done a great job, and I certainly want to thank him for the work that he's done, along with the ranking members. And in the appropriations, there's never enough money. But if you looked at it, there's been a lot of good changes that we've added, and we want to continue working with our experts in the VA.
Great, thank you. Dr. Clancy, what services do the VA provide for veterans and their families?
So I want to say just how personal this is to me. I have a lot of relatives who are veterans, including my husband's brother, who just retired a few years ago from a very proud career in the Special Forces. So this is a very big deal for me personally. And of course, the men and women who are willing to lay their lives on the line for the country, we provide a broad array of services. Now that ranges from healthcare, which is the biggest part of the entire department, and a huge array of benefits, which range from student loans to through the GI Bill, through housing mortgages, a whole array of benefits, help with employment, rehab, counseling, and so forth, to memorial services. So end-to-end services to help those who have served actually deal with their injuries when that's relevant, and actually to get integrated back into the best life that they can have. I do just want to comment on Congressman's comment about all these people he has to drive so far. I'm really, really proud to say that we have become the nation's leader in the use of innovative telehealth technologies. And I know that this is something you have very personally, strongly supported, so thank you for that. It is really an incredible game changer for people not to have to drive so far. And you know, it's very consistent with your having been recognized as an innovative health leader by the prestigious Healthcare Leadership Council.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You mentioned obviously the steps forward with the telemedicine, but what are some of the challenges that you think you're still facing today that you could focus on?
To answer that question, when we talk about challenges, we got to look at what the VA is in for, and what is, even myself as a member of Congress, both the VA and my office, we're in the people's business. That is, we provide a service, and how we provide the services is where the challenges come in. What sort of customer service do we provide? How do we reach certain populations that might be far, like the rural areas? So we're in the people's service, so that's where most of the challenges come in. By that is, I added some language on telemedicine. I know that the VA has been very innovative. And in fact, if you look at electronic, the electronic work that y'all have done, the VA, electronic files and that type of work, the VA has been an innovator when it comes to that. When you look at the choice program, the voucher system, that allows us to bring in the private sector to provide that. So where are the challenges? In my opinion, just like in my business, I would say the VAs, if I can venture to say that, we're in the people's business, and how do we provide an experience to the veterans or to the constituents that we serve, an experience that will, when they leave the VA clinic or VA hospital or even my office, it's an experience that they can say, hey, look, they're really trying to address my issue. So it's challenges come in the people's business that we're in.
Dr. Clancy, any thoughts on some of the challenges?
So I would say our biggest challenge is making sure that veterans have timely access, regardless of where they seek our assistance. And we are relentlessly focusing on this goal. Some parts of the country have experienced very large growth in the number of veterans who've moved to a particular area. And 1 in 5 Americans lives in a rural area, but 1 in 3 of the veterans we serve lives in a rural area. So we are deploying all of our assets to make sure that we can give the veteran care that is organized around their needs. Now, sometimes that is itself very challenging. The telehealth technologies help a lot. Making sure that when people call, they get their timely response on phone calls and so forth. But we're literally checking how are we doing every single day to make sure that that timely access is something that we can deliver on. And that also includes the capability for same-day access when it's needed, as well as If I am getting care at the San Antonio VA and I happen to go to Florida or someplace, that if I drop by another VA or one of our clinics, they can get my information right away and take care of my needs right then. And it's all very, very easy and invisible to the veteran. So those are really, I think, our biggest challenges. And I would simply note that it's not just important for veterans, although that is our 100% focus, but it also has a huge impact on U.S. healthcare. We're leading the way, but telehealth is actually going to really change the landscape of medicine in this country today.
That's great, thank you. Are you involved or familiar with the MyVA program, and do you mind sharing a little bit about that and how that works?
You know, this is just such an exciting program and something that Secretary McDonald put in motion from almost his first day. Actually, the very first thing he did was to have every single employee, that's more than 300,000, commit to our core values. So that's why I have this little pin on that says I care, right? So it's integrity, commitment, advocacy, respect, and excellence. So you'll know people who work at VA because by the buttons. Our people are so mission focused, it's really amazing. But the real focus of MyVA is that, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we provide a broad array of services. But you know, veterans contact us and they actually know they need to know form numbers and things like that. They shouldn't have to do that. We need to be organized to meet their needs seamlessly so that every veteran will think of it as my VA. So it is a huge cultural transformation, and we are all in for this. And it's incredibly exciting. It means we're working across our organizations in a very different way. But again, it's all organized around that individual veteran. How do we make it the best possible array of services for them?
Great, thank you. Congressman.
And I have to just add the I Care or the We Care. There's a, you know, the private sector, there was a big hotel chain that also carried the same type of mentality. And this is why I gotta compliment the Secretary. He does come from the private sector. He does understand what I call the wow factor, where somebody comes in and you provide the experience and say, wow, they really took care of me. So I have to compliment Dr. Clancy for the I Care mentality and experience that they're trying to provide the veterans, because it's a very tough job that the VA has to do. It's very important, but it can be difficult, especially when you got so many veterans that you got to take care of, not only the past wars, but even some of the conflicts that we're seeing now. And it's difficult. So I have to say that the I Care campaign that they're doing reminds me of the We Care that one of the big hotel chains, and it's basically what I call the wow experience. They come in and they were given this experience. It's an experience that, you know, the way you show people that you really care is you want them to leave and say, wow, they really are doing their best to take care of me. And I want to thank Dr. Clancy for the great work that she's doing.
Thank you. Earlier you mentioned briefly about some of the appropriations work you've been doing, and you've been very successful in adding some language and amendments into the fiscal year 2017 Military Construction, Veterans Affairs, House Appropriations Bill, and want to see if you can elaborate a little bit more into what you're able to
Well, you know,
include.
there's different things. As you know, the VA provides a wide amount of services. You know, we were looking at rural cemeteries. As you know, if you're in a large urban area like San Antonio, that's different from a smaller city like Laredo, or even in Stark County, Zapata, somewhere. So one of the things we're looking at is to have some sort of thinking outside the box, to have satellites, cemeteries for some of those veterans, where they can still be part of the, let's say, San Antonio National Veteran Cemetery, and be able to have something in a smaller city. Telemedicine, I know they've been doing, the VA's been doing telemedicine, but I'm a big believer in telemedicine. And I think if we use that, and you're able to use the reimbursement from the Choice Program, that will allow us to provide services for the rural areas. Some years ago, we were able to get those mobile vans, mobile homes, vans, should I say, And we've used them in Stark County and Zapata and certain areas. And again, it's just thinking outside the box and working with our experts and with our folks at the VA, we've been able to address some of those issues.
Thank you. Dr. Clancy, some of the stuff, the language that Mr. Cuellar mentioned he was able to get in, or some of the things that have been included in the past bills, do you have any comments on any of those that are working successfully, or, you know,
well,
changing?
First, just to say thank you for your support. I'll tell you where telehealth is hugely important for us, and that is in the area of mental health, particularly for people who have enlisted and joined the service since 9/11. That has been sometimes referred to as a signature wound of recent conflicts. You know, thanks to advances in U.S. medicine, the mortality rate during those conflicts went way, way down compared to prior wars, which is a tribute to battlefield medicine. But it also means that those who have served are coming home with many more problems, particularly mental health, which can range from complications of traumatic brain injuries to post-traumatic stress disorders to a whole array of services. And we are now providing more than 10% of all of our mental health appointments through telemedicine, which is just hugely exciting. Imagine a veteran with PTSD who doesn't have to navigate. All healthcare facilities are a little confusing at times, right? But can actually get treatment at home. It's a huge, huge game changer.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, in a small rural area, you might not have the mental health specialist, but if you're ever able to connect with a bigger city that has that specialist, it's a way of bringing the specialist to that small town, and it's just, you know, and if you look at telemedicine, I don't know the words that you all use exactly, but I still use telemedicine. By using telemedicine, it's amazing because now the technology, I mean, they can share records, they can share, you can see the doctor, you know, the specialist, so it's really, really, and again, the VA has been an innovator in this aspect on that.
You know, I recently saw a veteran in Florida. Instead of having a 12-hour trip, which would be similar to some of your veterans down by the border coming up to San Antonio. So the whole trip, we have vans, right? But you have to wait and get all your appointments, and other people who are riding with you have to get their appointments, so it's a full day. Instead of doing that, through using telehealth platform, we were able to fix his hearing aids like that, 1 minute.
Wow.
He said it's the left ear, and the tech just twisted the dial a little. And she said, "Is that better?" And he said, "Yes." That's it. It was just, it's really quite remarkable. You know, the Congressman has mentioned a couple of times working with partners in the community, and that is hugely important to us. Close to 20% of the care that we provide, we depend on our community care partners. A lot of that is through the Choice program. We're now busy working with the Congress to actually streamline that so that it is seamless across our system. But it is a vital asset to us. And the other place, so we've got to make sure that the partners we work with in the community understand what it means to serve and about something about the experiences of people who have dedicated part of their lives to serving the military and so forth. But very terrific opportunity for us. And again, it's another tool to help us improve access.
Right. Let me, before I forget, I just had one thought, moving from health to housing for the veterans. I did add some language to actually do work with HUD, VA work with HUD, where they would do the first of its type if this becomes final bill, which I hope it does. A provision that we added where they would do a U.S.-Mexico border study of homelessness of VAs. It was a story that came out in my hometown just a couple of weeks ago that talked about some of those veterans that actually have to live in Mexico. So here you have U.S. citizens that have to live in another country because that's when they can afford to have a home. And it was amazing because I was watching this, I think it was on a weekend, I was watching this story in Laredo, and the TV station actually went to Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, and they were talking to veterans, and they were saying, hey, we live over here because we can't afford it. I know with the White House, the Council for Homelessness, we're going to be working with them, with HUD also, with the VA, to do this study and hopefully address some of those issues. So it's not only the education benefits, you know, the new GI Bill, which is fantastic, but it's also, you know, the cemeteries. It's not only health care, but you know, finding homes for those veterans is something that we need to also address.
Yes, and thank you for your support in this. San Antonio was actually declared that they had eliminated veteran homelessness last year. We recognize that for many parts of the country this will be an ongoing challenge, and our focus is not just getting a place for someone to sleep tonight. It is really preventing homelessness to begin with and getting people on a path to stable, permanent housing. So I think the opportunity of this study is something we're very appreciative of because we won't rest until we actually have completely solved this problem. We've made great progress, but we have more to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think San Antonio is one of 23 cities where they've said that they've addressed the homeless, and 2 states, I assume they're the smaller states, not the bigger states, but 2 states, 23, including cities, including San Antonio. So we're really excited what's happened in San Antonio, and again, the White House, the council, we're excited, and they're supposed to come down to Laredo, and we'll get the VA and the HUD together. I think we're trying to work a time to bring that in. So we're really excited about the work that they've been doing on that. VA, when you talk about VA, it's not only healthcare, but I mean, it just touches so many aspects. You know, what I'm excited about the new GI Bill that we passed some years ago. If you look at the you know, the original GI Bill, how it lifted a lot of those families and a lot of those veterans up, you know, to be part of this new middle class in America. Absolutely. After World War II. Now this new one, you know, with the new veterans, but what I like about it is the portability of it, where if a veteran says, I got my education, but I want to pass it to my spouse, I believe also to kids, it's portable. And what else can you, what's one of the best things you can provide your child or your spouse? But an education. It's fantastic. So for all those young veterans out there, you know, go to your local university or community college and take advantage of this new GI Bill that we have.
That's great. So for some of the folks watching locally in your district, maybe we can touch on just some of the basic services that the VA offers, either that your congressional office offers for constituents, or that maybe folks might not be aware of. If you can maybe touch on some of the things so they know.
Well, let me just kind of just describe, and this is where Dr. Clancy come in, but let me just give you generally. Keep in mind that in my area, you go from San Antonio that has a lot of good facilities. Then you go through the rural areas, and really the next clinic will be in Laredo. Then you go to the McAllen area where there's another clinic. And one of the things that we've done with both the clinic in the Valley and the clinic in Laredo is we've almost doubled the space, not only the actual infrastructure, but also the services. The services that have been provided have just been expanded. Again, in the Valley and Laredo, more than 90% of all the trips that used to be done from the Valley, from Laredo, that used to go to San Antonio, have been eliminated, which now those services are being done at home. You don't have to travel, you don't have to be away from your family, and again, you get a local provider that you probably know, or a hospital stay that you can get down there in home. So we've done that. The rural areas, again, we provided funding for those mobile homes, those mobile vans where you can provide that service. We also, when we had earmarks, we missed earmarks, we bought vans to provide to the local veteran association so they can use those vans to transport the veterans when they have to do a call to a clinic or to a hospital. So we've been working on this, but again, it's going to be one of those continuous efforts because there's always challenges. And again, you know, the VA has a lot of good folks there that work for them. In fact, we were talking about one of the persons, if you remember the former Amy, the former chief of staff, he's a veteran, and he was a chief of staff for about 6 years or so for me, did a fantastic job. Terry Stinson, in fact, I still have veterans that ask for Terry, where is your chief of staff? Terry Stinson, and now he works for the VA. So you get that type of quality, caliber of people like Terry and, of course, Dr. Clancy that have the experience and are committed and want to provide that. So I just have to say that I'm just happy to be part of the team. They're the ones that do the real work. But Dr. Clancy, I just want to say you got a lot of good people that work down there for you.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman. We know that we can't do it without partnerships with a whole array of groups, including providers who see patients in the community, and very importantly, support from the Congress. So your support means a huge amount to us. You know, you asked about the kinds of services. Just about every kind of healthcare service that you could think of. You can enroll in our system if you haven't done that at any one of our facilities. You can also do it online. It's available on almost every congressional website and or at va.gov. You can also get information about applying for various benefits, particularly those who have been injured as a result of service, who may be eligible for disability benefits, compensation, and so forth. And in fact, that's one part where the health and benefits organizations within the department work very closely together. And again, part of my VA is reorganizing all of our services literally across the country so that the memorial services, the health system, and the benefits all work together very, very seamlessly. And that's going to be done with creating 5 regions. So there are people closer to the ground to make sure that this all happens.
That's great. Thank you. Well, Dr. Clancy, Congressman Cuellar, thank you so much for your time today. I don't know if you have any more remarks or if you're
Well,
good
the
before we
only
wrap up.
thing is it's important that they sign on, because there's veterans that are saying, hey, what about this? Well, you got to sign on, and you're right. The more we can do that, so we can encourage them sign on, and it's important. But the bottom line is the VA works because you got very committed people. The VA works because they want to do the right thing. The VA works because they're working in partnership with the veterans. And because of that reason, it's the largest, would you say the largest healthcare provider in the country?
Absolutely, yes.
Without a doubt. So think of that large organization and how you do it and where it's moving into the right direction. And that's why the Secretary, I want to thank him, and I certainly want to thank Dr. Clancy.
Well, thank you so much. And it is an incredible mission, and I think the Congressman had it exactly right. I can't even adequately describe how passionate our employees are about the mission. And they go the extra mile all the time to make sure that veterans have a terrific experience.
Thank you. Well, if you'd like more information about the Congressman's efforts, please visit www.cuellar.house.gov. Thank you.